Welcome back to the podcast and to your latest installment of Two Blues Tuesday. I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Mr. C Money Picks, to talk everything Chelsea, everything Premier League, and this week, everything Champions League. We are back. Mashallah, I can hear it ringing in my... I don't know about you, Charms. I can hear it ringing in my ears. It has been a long old 2, 3, 4 years. Who the fuck remembers? Chelsea are officially back in the Champions League. Bayern Munich this week. We're going to get into it. Plus, some fallout from the game against Brentford. Charms, how are you feeling, man? It is undoubtedly, unbelievably good to be back.
I mean, listen, we're back at the top, the winner's circle. We're all winning here. I want to do the Champions League intro noise. It's a bit too high pitched for how my voice is at the minute. But yeah, listen. We're back in the big time, baby boy. This is how we do it. And listen.
Hey, listen, I've had free San Miguel. I don't give a fuck about the pitch of my voice. Let's have it.
Nah, man, it's good to be back, man. It's really good to be back at the top where we belong. You know, it's a world-class side back in a world-class competition. It's a world-class game we've got tomorrow. It's going to be a very difficult fixture, but, you know, I like it. I like the pressure. I think that Chelsea, this particular Chelsea side, we always play well when the pressure's on. You know, we're good in the kitchen, and I think tomorrow is going to be a big sign of things to come for the rest of the tournament. Big games on today as well. You know, good luck, good luck to Arsenal. I don't know how much luck they're going to have, but hey, I'd like to see English teams progress far and not just get smacked about by Spanish opposition. But we'll focus on our hopes for Chelsea.
Touch wood. By the time we are finished recording this video, Arsenal have already been handed their first spanking by, what is it, Athletic Bilbao. Come on, bro. They need humbling already. After the Zubamendi couple goals, they need humbling. But before we even get into Champions League, Chance, I don't want to dwell too much on the Brentford game because all things told, it was a horrible Chelsea performance for at least 2/3 of the game. For the first 60 minutes, it was a diabolical performance from the squad. But I want to get your views because this is something I haven't asked, and full disclaimer, I haven't asked this off stream, on stream. I've never asked anybody off camera. Should that second Brentford goal have stood?
Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Yeah or no? Come on. Is it offside?
Yeah, no. I think it was fine, man. I think it was fine. I think it's more so the thing that I had a problem with was the way that we were just happy to. The minute that we lost the ball, I didn't feel like we were able to recover as fast as we should have. I think that, like, you know, Garnacho, he played well for the minutes he was on until that little fleeting moment where he gets the ball robbed, and I felt like he gave up on it a little bit too quickly. But you want, as you said, you know, the first 50, 55, 60 minutes, I thought we looked like we were kind of just how we did about a year ago. You know, I thought we were looking like happy to hang on to what we had. And I wasn't too happy about that. You know, I thought we would look like we were trying to bang one goal in and then hold it back. I was really impressed with Cole Palmer's performance. I thought that he was kind of awake. He looked like he was really trying to make the ball move and get the ball flowing. And apart from that, it's probably the weakest performance I've seen since the last time that we lost the game, you know, with the Nicholas Jackson-Redding. I think it's probably one of the weaker performances, probably the weakest performance of the season. I think that they are lucky to have ended up with a point because once we did turn it on, we looked like the more aggressive, more forward-thinking side. And as soon as that goal went in, it felt like all the spirits had lifted. And, you know, when we'll talk about him in great detail, but when that ball just bounced off, when Garnacho played that ball and it bounced off to Moy, oh my, the way that I was thinking, yeah, he's going to smash that. And my God, smash that he did. He put 97 shot power behind that one.
The way he took a touch as well. I was like, oh,
yeah.
And then he took a tee and I was like, oh, he's still hitting it.
Yeah, he's just going to ras it. And it's exactly what he did, man. Top left. There's no stopping those. You know, no goalkeeper in the world's getting through to that. When Moises Caicedo strikes a ball like that, you know, we've seen it a few times now. It's a tall order for any goalkeeper. So overall, I was like, I wouldn't say I was impressed with the Chelsea performance, but I was happy we didn't just fully capitulate and implode. I was happy that we found our way back into the game. And in the end of the day, I think it was them that should be happy with taking a point rather than us.
Yeah, no, I agreed. I think both sides could be rightfully miffed that they didn't capitalise, but both sides could also sit back and say, fair enough, we didn't really deserve 3 points. We were lucky to get away with one. But one thing that I'm curious, because I don't really have an answer for this question other than perhaps it's to do with, self-complacency, getting too far ahead of yourselves. Chelsea have won one game in 8. This is just focusing on Premier League games. One game in the last 8 fixtures against Brentford. What is it about teams like Brentford, Everton, Fulham that cause us such problems, like year in, year out? I mean, it's chalk and chip. We could lose 3-0 against Man City. We could go toe-to-toe. On our day, we can beat the best of the best. But what is it? What is it about Chelsea against these lower sides consistently in the last 5-6 years? Because it's not just spanning Bowley and co. It's going back to Abramovich and that. What is it about these mid-table sides that cause such a problem for Chelsea?
Yeah, and I think another one is Brighton as well. It's always a really difficult fixture that we go to. It seems to be these teams that float in between sort of 8 to 14 that we struggle with. I don't think it's a tactical problem. I think it's a physicality problem. I think that in that sort of stretch of the Premier League, a lot of these teams, they really build themselves around players who are really strong. I talk about it. It feels like every week, but a year ago at that Fulham fixture on Boxing Day, that was the one that felt like it was the turning point in the season last season. And I feel like what it was the physicality that got to us. You look about the pitch and they got players like Adama, Iwobi, Bassi, players who are going to be stronger and more physical, willing to engage in that sort of shoulder to shoulder. And once again, outside of a certain couple of players, our centre backs and Moises Caicedo, I feel like a lot of our wingers, they don't want to do the old classic, I'll beat your power with my pace. I feel like they're happy to kind of cut back and try and play the little passes. And I feel like that's where we get beaten off on the ball. A lot of the time, it's on the break. And I think it's just that switch where they know how to capitalize on us being a little bit, I wouldn't say weaker, but not as physically in depth as a lot of other these mid-table Premier League sides like Nottingham Forest, you know what I mean? Or the sides mentioned. I feel like that we need to be a little bit more, getting ready for the argy-bargy. And I feel like that's what they bring to the table is that sort of, you're a centre-back, like with the shoulder-to-shoulder contact, those little small things. I feel like everyone kind of on the front side of it, even the players like Cole Palmer, who technically are better than 99% of players on the planet, I feel like they don't like the physicality, the fact that someone else's 10 is going to put a foot in on you. It's not going to be the traditional wait for the 8 or the 6 to come up and clean it. Like there are players all about the pitch who are ready to give you the shoulder to shoulder. And, we even saw that in the air. How many aerial duels have we won? It does my head in. You can even look at the final goal that we conceded, the amount of aerial duels that we lose. It's just annoying. So I think that's what it comes down to. I think it's a physicality thing. And when we do get signings in that I feel like are a little bit more physical, like even the Dario Asugos, I feel like that's the part of their game that us as Chelsea fans are impressed with. What is it that he's doing different? Well, he's just trying to go up for the header. He's actually winning them. You know what I mean? That's what makes these players look so impressive. So that's what it's been for me for a while now. It's just that physicality and that presence, particularly in the final third when defenders are able to clear them off. And then when they're breaking on us, kind of the reverse fixture, I feel like a lot of these teams, their attacking players can be a lot stronger than the players that are sort of targeted to deal with that.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. And I think particularly with the game against Brentford, obviously, I mean, one of my main points in the match report was I couldn't believe, given that we haven't got a centre-back pairing that plays week in, week out, I couldn't believe that Cucurella and Reece James weren't pairing. I feel like that there is our centre-back pairing, if you're not going to have 2 consistent centre-backs, given that we've got Levi Cole. I mean, we have 3 out of 4 defenders. If you're thinking about a back 4, 3 out of 4 defenders not playing in the Brentford game. So you can give the Chelsea players a little bit of leeway. But just leaning on what you just said there, and you mentioned Dario Asuga, obviously it's the first time that we got to see Alejandro Garnacho come off the bench, as well as Buonanotte, who I was incredibly surprised that he started. I thought when we signed him, I thought he's going to be very similar to Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall in that he's got the ability to do it, but he's never going to be in a conversation for starting. He's never going to be pushing somebody else out of that starting 11. So I'm curious to think, particularly given the news today that given Dario Asugo's injury, international duty, Buonanotte is going to be in the Champions League squad instead of Dario Asugo. I'm curious to hear your initial thoughts on both Garnacho and Asugo, because obviously a lot of people, Garnacho got 15 minutes and a lot of people have been very, very vocal. As much as I can't speak for you, as much as I've hated on his appointment, I can't sit here and fairly say, he let Fabio Carvalho go. I thought he did all right when he came on. But talk to me. What do you think about those two initial impressions?
Yeah, well, what once again, like just reading what I was saying a bit earlier about Garnacho, I've been really, I was once again surprised by the transfer. It wasn't a transfer I was expected to go over the line. You wear blue, I'll support you till the day you're not. You know what I mean? Like I'll always have love, and it goes back a couple of seasons where I've always said, I don't know, I've been impressed by Alejandro Garnacho. I just think that he's at a Man United side which is struggling. You look at a lot of other players that have left Man United and they go on to do relatively good things, and with Garnacho, I feel like it's going to be very similar. I think that he does fit well into this system. I was pretty impressed with the 15 minutes he played. I was a lot happier than I was mad at him. You know what I mean? I didn't really think that the goal that I think that the final goal that they scored, the Caval, like it is hard. I think that you can nitpick where you can call faults in Garnacho. End of the day, it's not really his responsibility. It's his job to get goals going, not get rid of them, stop them from happening. It's not really the role he's been placed in with. I like him. I think that he's happy to beat on a man. Pause, but I think that he's happy to kind of take on a man. But where that's his role, it just confuses me because he's kind of replacing Gittins, it feels like, and I don't really understand what's going on.
So that was going to be my next question. Is you and I both said, Gittins' first impression in a Chelsea shirt was that cameo against Bayer Leverkusen in pre-season. And now, 5 games in, I'm thinking the only reason he did so well against Leverkusen is because he knew the team, he knew the fullback. We haven't seen that same player since. And as much as I'm sitting here and going, he's young, give him time, I'm looking at, and Chelsea fans might hate me for this. You know how much of a fan I was of Noni Madueke. I'm looking at the performances Noni Madueke is doing for England and Arsenal, and I'm saying, why the fuck did we trade down to Gittins, bro?
Yeah, no, it is confusing. I think that raw ability, Gittins probably has the edge, but when it comes to like proven talent that I've seen, anyways, I think you can give it to Noni. I think that you look at the money involved in both deals. I think we probably ended up on the right end of the stick there. 55 million for Noni Madueke in a modern market is pretty good value. I like Gittins, and I think that on paper, when you're doing the Moneyball thing, he ticks all the right boxes, particularly last season. The ability to take players on and early ball crosses in all of these things. We just haven't seen that yet from him. It's so early in the season, man. I don't want to cast judgment on anyone just yet. I'm not going to say that the 15 minutes I saw from Garnacho was more impressive than the couple of games I've seen from Gittins. I like him. I think that both of them will come good eventually. I just think that it's down to who the manager wants in their squad. Who the manager wants for certain roles and for certain games.
You say that, bro, but at the end of the day, 15 minutes is all Enzo Maresca's going to have to go off with Garnacho. And you think about, look, let's just kind of, Bayern's a gimme. I'm not going to try and predict the lineup for tonight. I don't think Garnacho would start, but Man United on Saturday, I wouldn't be surprised if Garnacho started on the left.
And I think he should.
Estevao is not fit again, because I've said multiple times, Estevao and Neto, 100% my starting wingers. If Estevao's not back fit, I wouldn't be surprised if Garnacho started over Gittins already.
Yeah, and I also think that that is also part and parcel of like a tactical idea. I'm playing against Manchester United, who better than a player that played at Manchester United for the better part of 2 years. I think that where he was starting for them, I think he'll know how to capitalise on the fullbacks. I would like to have a player like Garnacho. To be honest, it screams of him bagging, at the very least getting assists. It absolutely reeks of it. I like him in that fixture particularly. I need to see a little bit more from both of them before I cast my judgment on who I prefer, once again, as a starting player. Like you said, though, when Esteval's fit and ready, I think that even at his age, he's shown that as a technician, he's probably the better of the three. I've been really, 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 really impressed with Esteval. He's exactly the type of player that I thought he was going to be coming into the club. And that we both had extremely high expectations for him. Garnacho, I can imagine will start against United. I would personally pick him to start as well against Manchester United. Tactically, once again, I think it's the right idea. I just, as I was saying, it's a struggle for me to imagine what that signing was. If Maresca's already not happy with Gittins, if there's something that he that he saw that he's not seeing at the moment, if there's something going on in training, that he's not training hard enough. I could not tell you what it is. We've been linked with Garnacho from before Gittins was purchased, but Gittins got purchased, then we were still linked with Garnacho, and it felt like the rumours had dipped away until one or two pretty meaty performances, and then all of a sudden they're back again and he's bought. That's how it felt. So yeah, it's a bit confusing. I feel like there's a lot that isn't being said, and I think it's quite tactically not being said just to avoid any hard feelings or for anyone to feel a kind of way.
Do you feel like Enzo Maresca's playing politics? Because if I'm being completely honest, I've got a gut feeling he has nothing to do with recruitment. I feel like everything that he says is very blasé and that, look, I'll back this player, he's a great player. I feel like he has not gone out and asked the sporting directors, the club, to get any of these individuals. I don't think, you see the way he talks about Fofana. This guy's a great player. The last 45 minutes he played was the worst I've ever seen in a Chelsea shirt. Like the majority of what he says is backhanded compliments. And I do feel, I don't know if you feel like this is his squad or not, but I'm getting an increasing feeling that these signings, he doesn't have very much say on.
And I don't think that you can be too surprised about that. I feel like the one thing that really got him the job, and I think we spoke about it before, is that he can be a bit of a yes man. He can just kind of be told to do a certain job and go out there and do it, and he's not going to fight back with the board. A lot of these signings, they do kind of get the feel. I do kind of get the feeling that not only are they not his signings or they are the boards, but they are more like tactical, we're trying to sell shirt type signings, you know what I mean? And it's Garnacho's he's a very divisive figure. We use the word aura a lot in modern football, but it's one thing that I will say about Garnacho is he does carry that sort of young, youthful looking vibe about him.
What about that fucking straggly ass haircut he don't?
Yeah, that crazy Draco Malfoy
trim. Gone, bro.
Yeah,
get that buzz cut and you're back to your bro. Get that buzz cut and you're 30. That's it.
Yeah, word. But yeah, no, it does feel like that, and it does feel like he's Maresca is kind of playing to the tune that's being sung. You know what I mean? He's kind of doing what he's being told, and it is frustrating. But once again, I think that we've been proven in the past that Bowley's made some good decisions for the club. And even the small things, like I was saying in my chopping it up with Charms video, like I was happy with the way that this whole political thing about the charges has gone about, the fact that we essentially whistle blew ourselves. I was quite impressed by that. It showed a lot of maturity to not try and do the Man City and just sweep everything under the rug and get away with it for as much time as you can. I'd rather be an honest club than a lying club. And as you've said many times, everyone likes to bang on and just absolutely waffle and bitch about our transfers and our signings and the way we do our business. But we're pretty positive when it comes to that, because they don't want to look at the sales. They just want to look at the inbounds and have something to rare about, because that's what we are, innit? We're the villains, apparently. And it's lonely at the top, Dan. It's really lonely at the top. And when you're a team with the successful DNA that we've got, people will find anything. They'll look at the transfers you're bringing in. They won't look at the way you're balancing the books. And that is one thing that I can say I've been impressed with Todd Bowley. But yeah, the way that the signings have gone about, they do feel to some sense like it's not the people who should be making the signings making them, and we are just being you playing the hand that we're dealt.
Yeah, I do feel like, I mean, I'm just going to circle back, and it might not make sense, but what we were saying about the offside decision is you weren't sure. Like, I felt at the weekend, by the letter of the law, it's offside. He's interfered with play. The player's offside. But unfortunately, and as a infamous Sir Alex Ferguson quote from 10, maybe more years ago, some decisions go for you, some don't. At the end of the year, it'll all come full circle. For all the Chelsea fans complaining and saying, it should have been offside, I agree. I think by the letter of the law, that was offside. The goal shouldn't have been stood. Let's be honest. Should Eze's goal against us have stood? Yep, it fucking should. Should Josh Kinger's goal have stood against us? Yeah, it fucking should. Let's not get all technical and by the letter of the... realistically, we've had 2 for us and 1 against us this season. You're going to get decisions go for you. You're going to get decisions go against you. You need to do far more in the 90 minutes. I can't sit here as a Chelsea fan and say, oh, we deserve to win that game. We were god fucking awful for 56 minutes before Cole Palmer came on the pitch. So to sit here and complain about the decisions, we as Chelsea fans have got to look at the team, look at what we've invested, and we've got to expect the best from this team. I don't care if you're a pessimist, optimist, realist, whatever you are. You look at this Chelsea team and you look at the money we've invested, we should be going for it. And one of the very few players who was at the races at the weekend and has been at the races every single game week for the last 72 game weeks is Moises Blood Clark Caicedo, bruv. I'm sick of my own voice. I'm sick of hearing he's the best midfielder in the world. Come out of my own diaphragm, bruv. Talk to me about how fucking good, bruv. Rice, Gravenberch, Pedri, Gavi, talk to me. How good is Moises Caicedo, and why do rival fans not already understand this Don is unrivaled?
Because they don't watch enough of the Chelsea to know that how good he is. And I think that like when I speak to people who watch as many games of football as they can and they stay neutral, or friends of mine who support championship clubs or Leeds United or these other clubs, Sheffield, where they're able to have a neutral perspective of all of these different big teams in the Premier League, they all say the same thing, which is that what Moises Caicedo is able to bring to the table, that intensity, the lack thereof, making mistakes, that is so big for me. The lack of making mistakes is huge, because in the modern day, everyone around you is good. Everyone you play against is good. They know what they want to do. They bring something to the table: intensity, physicality. But Moises Caicedo, he matches the energy and he brings it forward. And it's something that we haven't seen since N'Golo Kante and before him, Michael Essien. And it's a lineage in this football club that we have someone sits in the spine. They clean up, they pull the broom out and they clean up all the mistakes. They play the ball forward and they disappear. They just sit back and make it happen. And one thing that maybe more so on the Essien side than the Kante side, every now and then they'll just ras it. And Moises Caicedo is starting to add that into his game. Caicedo is starting to add that element into his game where he's got the confidence of, I'm just going to creep in and make that late box run. The late Frankie Lampard knows about them ones there. He sees the ball coming and posh, and it happens. And this is like the second or the third or the fourth time I've seen it from him.
You know what? Chelsea fans forget that this Don scored from the halfway line.
That's what I mean, bro.
Game of loss, but this guy yinged it from 50 yards.
This guy's but I'm telling you, he's adding that bag to his game, and I don't even believe that this will be the last time that we see him score an absolute belter this season. That is the element of his pitch, that sort of 30 to 50, that first bit of the second of the attacking half. That is the bit where he takes the ball and he makes decisions. And when he creeps a little bit further than that and he sees the goal and no one's on him, he's just going to think, I'm just going to clart it because I know I can get it on target. And when I've got the shot power that I've got, the accuracy that I've got, the confidence that I've got, I can bag every now and then. And yeah, cool. I've seen him blast a couple over the bar. I won't lie to you. Like, it's not like every single one of them go in, but the ones that hit the target, they end up rattling the net. And you know, we could talk about just the one goal, but as you said, we've seen it before from ridiculous ranges. His confidence, his attitude, the defensive whereabouts. I think that you'll be hard pressed to find another defensive midfielder in the world who you could say you would rather in your squad than Moises Caicedo.
Yeah. No, I don't. Like I said, I don't disagree. I can't speak about him enough. I'm sick of hearing the words Moises Caicedo come out my own. This guy, I don't know how anyone can compete. I don't know how anybody can genuinely, anybody with a reasonable IQ can look at this Don and say there is another midfielder that does more than him. There's like defensively, obviously he's the GOAT, but he can do it all going forward as well. Like genuinely, if you don't think Moises Caicedo is the greatest centre midfielder in the world right now, number one, look at yourself. Number two, what are you doing? Number three, what are you drinking? Get off that rock. Number four, start watching more Chelsea games, because this honestly, it is a joy to like the breaking up play. The fact that he just every single tackle is so perfectly timed. There is not a single other player that can do it like Moises Caicedo. But we both know that. All Chelsea fans know that. This is not news to anybody unless you are not a Chelsea fan. But moving on and moving away from a negative in some, we've managed to talk for about 25 minutes on a negative and take a fair few positives out of a draw. And let's just full disclaimer: Chelsea are still unbeaten. Chelsea are still unbeaten, one of the 3 unbeaten teams in the league. We're still it's still looking good, man. But looking good and looking forward. Champions League, we are well and truly back tonight. Half of the games get underway tomorrow. Obviously, we are in action away to Bayern Munich. Having a quick look at the 36 teams in this new group stage, this new league table. The first time that we've played this new league format, Champions League. It looks very strong. I will say, you used to get quite a few teams. It used to be kind of a given that every 4th team in the group stage wouldn't qualify. There was, a bit of a Mickey Mouse team. Aside from, Bodo Glimt, who we know have been in the Europa League, Kairat, Paphos, Karabag. I mean, look, it's a very, very strong teams, very, very strong tournament and, underway tonight. So we'll try not to get into too many score predictions. But Charms, looking at the league table before anybody plays, how do you feel about Chelsea's chances, first Champions League campaign in a few years?
Well, we said it earlier. I feel like it's the teams that we don't expect to. Well, that shouldn't give us a problem are the ones that give us a problem. And when it comes to the big table, with the big boys in the table, I feel like we always play good football. Bayern Munich is a side that we've got substantial amount of history, particularly in the Champions League with. And this is a game which I think will be a lot closer than a lot of people will think. I can imagine that a lot of neutrals will be tipping their favours towards Bayern Munich, but they did the same thing against PSG. They thought that it's a better side all round, they're the best team in world football, but they haven't played Chelsea, have they? So let Bayern Munich do what they want to do. They'll play the way that they want to play. I reckon we can hold off their pretty, let's be honest, slow attacking elements, and we can counter on them.
Slow? What? Nicholas Jackson and Michael Elise and Luis Diaz and Jamal Musiala and Harry Kane. Slow.
Jamal Musiala and Michael Elise probably the only exception to it, but the other 3, come on now, man.
Hey, I mean, Luis Diaz caused us problems at Liverpool, bro. He's going to cause us problems at Bayern Munich.
Luis Diaz is going to get absolutely neutralised beyond belief.
Hey, hold on. Hang on. You admitted the main fucking name. Nicholas Jackson, bro.
Nicholas Jackson.
Bro, this guy's out with the vendetta. But fuck a vengeance. He's got a vendetta, bro.
I can't wait to play against Nicholas Jackson. I can't wait, bro.
Are you not fearful that he'll score a hat-trick against fucking Wesley? Bro, wait, hold on. This one player that we didn't speak about the weekend, Wes Fofana. Are you fuck, marry, kill? Because I'm putting 2 bullets in that motherfucker's temple.
Listen.
Hey, you'll kill that motherfucker. Hey,
man.
On, bro.
I ain't married, bro. I ain't married, but then again, me can't be no batty my year, so I can't be doing the check thing. So listen. Hey,
line him
if
up.
we're gonna be doing
line him up.
But listen. I know it's not been impressive. He's looked weak. He's looked like he doesn't want it ever since he's come. Well, since he's been injured, he's come back and he looks like he's scared to get injured again. I don't like it. But
all I'm saying is, how long have you been going gym?
Yeah, I know, right?
No. How long have you been going gym?
About 4 months. I'd probably
how many leg days is that?
Probably about 20.
Blood! Oh, I thought you were going to be like single figures. But you've got bigger legs than Wes Fofana. Are you dumb? This man's...
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true.
As much as I rate him, technical ability, you can't be going into a 50-50 challenge like, please don't touch my leg, bruv.
Yeah.
Bruv,
yeah.
I would. That leg is snapped. Are you dumb?
He needs to put a metal rod through his thing. Pause.
Up, bro. He needs to get on. Hey, listen, he needs to get on that Kai Havertz diet because that motherfucker is fat. He needs to put on. He needs to do that Mac from Israel. He needs to cultivate 100%. He needs to cultivate mass, bro. Not even put on muscle. But yeah, man, it's great.
Yeah,
So
I'll be
you're
running him through to
thinking.
Mackey's.
So Chelsea 8 games in the Champions League, right? Bayern tomorrow.
Yeah,
Then we've got Benfica. Oh yeah, a big
yeah,
month for us, by the way.
congrats.
Obviously Benfica and Bayern, but then Bayern, Benfica, Ajax, Karabag, Barcelona, Atlanta, Paphos, Napoli. Talk to me, bro. 8 games there, 24 points available. What are you seeing as a what are you hoping for? And then what are you seeing as a acceptable level?
Acceptable would be, in my opinion, at the very minimum is 4 wins out of those games. I think that we got to take a point out of
Going by half.
Out of Bayern Munich. Yeah, flat half. I think two of them are pretty obvious givens in Karabag and Paphos. I think that's pretty wrapped up. Like, so we can give those, but then two of the rest of the six, they are big games. You know, I can't deny Atlanta's probably the weakest of the lot. Probably still going to be a very physical, very hard, intense game. I probably favour us just because I know this club so well. I probably favour us to beat Bayern Munich and lose to Atalanta somehow, and then bring it to the wire with Barcelona, even though they're a little bit all over the gaff. So I think that I expect us to qualify. I do. I think that it's in the nature of the club. I think that we will bring points out where we shouldn't. Big game against Bayern tomorrow, as I said. Like it's got a lot is going to hinge on that. I do think that we will play them very well. I think that we are ready for this fixture, regardless of injuries and whatnot. I think that we can match their intensity. And as I said, I genuinely believe that going forward, they can be a little bit more of like a slower side than compared to what we're used to in the Premier League, where the intensity is just so rampant. Everyone's got amazingly fast wingers and a deep striker and playing the physical game and the speed to match it. I think that we can crumble them. And you know, if we hold on to a draw, I'd be happy. But I think that we can poach a win in this one. I really, really, really do.
No, I respect it, and I can't believe I'm going to ask, but I'm going to need a prediction. How far?
Really cagey 1-0.
How far are Chelsea going in the Champions League?
Yeah, I think we'll go far. I don't want to say it, man, but I think
I was
we'll
going
do
to
well.
say, I heard the word semi come out. Hey, hey,
Listen,
hey,
I think
listen.
we'll do well. I think we'll do well.
Do you
I
reckon we
think
make it to
we'll do really well.
the knockouts easy?
We make it to the knockouts for sure. I think that we if we get through to the quarterfinals, I'd be very, very happy. I think if we progress any further than that, I think we're kind of overshooting. But I don't expect any less from Chelsea. You know, we are a world-class side. At the end of the day, I think that I did a video about this. I think that when you actually look at the overall way that Chelsea is structured at the minute, I think we have a world-class right back and a world-class left back. I think we have a world-class six. I think we have a world-class 10 in Palmer. I think we have a potentially world-class striker in Joao Pedro. I think we have a potentially world-class winger in Esteval. I think we've got a lot of questions of who could potentially be world-class to match the players that have already proven they are, like our fullbacks, like our spine, like our 10, like the people that actually we need in this club. Okay, fine. Our goalkeeper, he's a bit meaty. I won't lie to you. He's a little bit meaty. He's meaty. The centre backs, meaty. I think Trevor Chalobah is probably the best of the lot, and he wasn't even really playing at the club 8 months ago. So it's a very confusing time for us defensively in goal. On the left wing, there's a lot of things that I've got questions about. But yeah, overall, I think we do have enough quality that when everything's said and done and these players are ticking and we get the ball rolling and we get into this deeper half of the Champions League come February, come March, I think that we should have enough in us to actually be there still.
Come on, love that. And you've been very conservative on that answer. So I'm going to need a one-word. I'll allow you 2 words. One-word answer. Who's winning the Champions League this season? I know it's a tough question. We do our predictions prior to the season, so I've got to ask, who wins the Champions League at 2025-26?
Yeah, I wouldn't. It wouldn't surprise me if PSG won it.
PSG.
It wouldn't.
First.
It wouldn't. Bayern Munich looks strong. Yeah, it is. Yeah, I don't know. There are some contenders this year.
You heard it here first. Well, let us know what you think. Who you think will win the Champions League this year. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. You know what it is. We'll be back soon with some more great Chelsea content. Make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe. And until then, up the Chelsea!